Hello everyone, it's DarkFire07 and today we are playing DIMIR CECIL Shadow, and this deck has been amazing. In fact, I brewed this last Friday, immediately day after on Saturday. Guy named BoltSnapBolt won RCQ with the build, and the initial build I didn't have the Force of Negations in the main deck, and he had a couple of Force of Negations. It worked out for me when I tried it with the Force of Negations. I liked it a lot. I liked Forces a lot in the list in the main deck, so I decided to go with the Forces main for the video. I think deck was great. I played the trophy match and I was about to win the trophy match, then the most incredible thing happened. You will see in the last match. It was literally the unluckiest, or maybe it was partially my fault. I just couldn't even um, think of such a way the game will finish that I just completely ignored possible other possible outcomes. You will see what happens in the end in the last match. It's pretty incredible loss. I thought I have the trophy. I thought it was over, but somehow I lost. Okay, so we will go check out the gameplay. First, let's go through the list. What's happening here is that we got Cecil, Dark Knight, and the Death Shadow in the same deck. They work good with similar cards. They all both work well with Thoughtseize, Dismember, Street Ray. This card enable you to both flip Cecil on turn 2 and 3, or just cast Shadow on in the early turns, which is both just very important. It's hard to have these two guys in the same deck, but it's not impossible. Sometimes you will have to make like a gameplay decisions, which won't be easy. It will be hard to make a good decision, and but it's possible to play them together, and they are both like very strong one mana threats for a build like this. The one mana threat can be incredibly important in a counterspell deck where you need to hold 2 mana open and have 3 mana, then just play 1 mana for a threat and pass a turn holding counterspell open. So having a strong 1 mana threats can be incredibly efficient and important in a deck like this. Okay, so that is it. Let's go check out the gameplay. Before that, let us just check the sideboard. I got 1 Toxic Deluge, 1 Mass Removal for decks like Energy, additional removals, 1 Dismember, 1 Shielded Edict. I'm not sure if Dismember should. Sometimes I really like Dismember in a lot of situations, and Shielded Edict is a great card for the build as well, especially when you're playing against Zoo, and it was good in this league. I really needed it. So other than that, I'm just having a lot of Eldrazi hate here. So 4 Break the Ice, 4 Consign to Memory, and 2 Harbinger of the Seas, 10 cards dedicated to beating that matchup, and just 5 cards for other matchups. But of course, Harbingers are good in other matchups as well as Consign, so there's that. Okay, so before we go to the gameplay, let me remind you of my Decktionary profile. For those who haven't seen it yet, I have a bunch of new guides on Decktionary. So Cecil Zoo and Chocobo Zoo cyber guides are in base tier. That's this one, base zoo tier, let's say, let's call it. And in the zoo tier, that is the $20 one, I got new Tifa Zoo guide. Also in Eldrazi tier, I got new article written Chrysalis or Microspawn in the Eldrazi aggro. And another thing is that now Decktionary has posts. I will be posting here weekly, regularly, stuff like Brew of the Week, thing I enjoyed most doing that week, what I think was most important thing I've done. Okay, so that is it. That's all for today. We can now go for Decktionary. We can now go to the gameplay and see how that went. Okay, so in this league, I try to use like moderate speed, slower than what I used in the last video. I'm just trying this for the first time, so I'm trying faster and slower versions, but I think in this video I used moderate speed. Sometimes I go a little faster, sometimes I slow it down a bit. Okay, so I go for a street rate, put myself down on 11 and play as Death Shadow pass a turn. So I was hoping they try to bolt my shadow, and then I make it a 4/4. So now I was thinking like maybe they I killed their Ragavan and they bolt my shadow, and I lose bolt for Ragavan and bolt. That's pretty good deal, but it got even better. Opponent tried to binding my shadow, so I just force of negation it, and immediately we can see how good force of negation inclusion was immediately in the first match. Okay, so here I play this member on Ragavan and make my shadows 8/8 in a situation where opponent doesn't have any blockers, so just a single shadow is lethal. So that's it. Okay, I trim some of the street raids. I am playing against Zoo, so I don't want to lose that much life. I need Harbingers, so I trim a couple of Thoughtseize, all street raids. I put in Dismember and the Shielded Edict, and the Shielded Edict was really really important. Okay, so I go for a Watery Grave and kill the Ragavan. Then I Thoughtseize, and I think I should. I think this was the wrong decision. I should have taken the Fable. Looking back, I think Fable was probably a better choice. Since I was able to play Frog and then block Scion with Frog. Even if they kill Frog, then I would be able to just play Murktide. After that, Murktide would also be bigger than Scion, and Fable enabled them to draw 2 cards and discard 2 cards they definitely didn't need at that point. Okay, so in this situation I played Shadow and a 6/6 Murktide, so now it was actually kind of a stalemate. I block their Fable token. They play another Scion Jacob. Problem is they have double Stubborn Denial in their hand, and Stubborn Denials are pretty good in this situation. Okay, so I'll just have to make them use those denials. And turn, I go for Sink into Stupor. Opponent uses one of the denials and taps out. So I use this situation, try to draw into something, and I go for a Preordain and I find one Fatal Push. Yeah, I'm not sure if it was better to kill Kawu or Fable here. I decide to go for Kawu. And my opponent makes a third Scion token and then finds Leyline of the Guild Pact and gives a combo to all their Scions, but they maybe didn't notice that I have almost a kill in the swing back. So I attack for lethal here. My opponent has to block. I can potentially, yeah, I have exactly lethal. So I had 22 damage. If my opponent didn't block, I would kill them. So it was kind of a way out for me from this hard situation from Scion combo. But opponent finds Leyline Binding plus Stubborn Denial, which was exactly like 2 cards they needed to win this one. So I needed to deal with this in the next game. Okay, so I find Shielded Edict. This was incredibly important. If I didn't find this, I would be in a problem. They would have Scion combo and I would not have solution for that at the moment. Okay, so I flip my Cecil and play that Shadow. Of course, now attacking with both shrinks my shadow, but I have ways to lower my life total. So opponent plays Territorial Kawu, and turn I go Dismember. They try to Stubborn Denial, I counter that, so I kill the Kawu, continue attacking with Cecil, gaining life, getting in the safe zone against Zoo. And now I top deck a Harbinger of the Seas in situation where my opponent just doesn't have any basics, so they just scoop it up. It's game over. Okay, so opponent plays a lot of 0 mana artifacts here. They try to go for Emery. This was a bit weird. I'm not sure why it didn't start from the beginning. I'm pretty sure I recorded from the beginning. Something weird happened here, but it's okay. Okay, I think I just for a moment I went too fast for a part of the video there, so I now slowed it down again, try to put like a more normal speed. Okay, so now I'm stuck, a bit stuck. I can't play any of my cards, but I find a fetch, which means I can go for double shadow. That is pretty good. I have to build up my yard to be able to play the Murktide, but this usually happens moderately fast. Okay, so now I can start attacking with my shadows. I attack them down to 16, play shadow number 3, pass a turn holding Stubborn Denial, and my opponent finds Kappa Cannoneer, one of very strong cards, but it's only a 5/5 here, and I have to pass a turn here. If they attack, they're just dead because I have 3 shadows, so they have to have lethal or just don't attack, and yeah, that's what exactly what happened. And now I have Sink into Stupor. I can just play Sink, make all my shadows 6/6, attack for lethal damage. Opponent has to trade for Kappa Cannoneer, which basically means it's game over for them. They are on 3 life. I have 3 creatures all doing lethal damage. Next turn, there's just no way my opponent gets out of this one. And okay, so I board in some spell bombs, some more removal against them. I want to have stuff like Shielded Edict, be able to kill Kappa Cannoneer. That can be pretty important. And yeah, okay, so I keep medium hand, but 2 street raids means I can maybe play my shadow early. Okay, so I go for turn 1 Cecil. I can possibly flip Cecil on turn 2. That is a pretty cool play where you can do that. If I use Thoughtseize, I can flip it, but now my opponent plays Ether Spellbomb, so it's questionable if it's worth it or not. Okay, so I go for a Cecil attack. I've actually flipped the Cecil. I see Metallic Rebuke and I play my Death Shadow as a 5/5. So both of them big. Even if I attack with Cecil and Shadow next turn, they're still going to be pretty big, both of them. Even with the lifelink, I can still lose 3 life by fetching. But here I attack with Death Shadow and then Sink into Stupor their construct token. To my knowledge, these decks usually don't play Lava Spur Boots. At least what I know from these decks, the regular Affinity plays it, but these slow, let's say, like not a real Affinity versions, I'm not even sure what is even Affinity these days anymore. There are just all kind of versions, variants playing, but I was pretty sure this deck doesn't in fact play the Lava Spur Boots. Opponent goes for Thought Monitor and Thought Cast, draws 4 cards, good stuff, for a good turn for opponent. They were forced to block my Death Shadow here to survive. I play a land, pass a turn, then Force of Negation their Thought Cast, and yeah, that really makes their chances much worse. Opponent actually has 3 clues, so they start cracking clues. They crack clue number 1, clue number 2, then Mox Opal into Dispatch. They find a removal for my Death Shadow, so it's still not over. I can't really use the street rate. I can go for attack, discard. I can't attack with Cecil. I'm on 1 life, but I can discard Cecils. It's just if I deal damage with Cecil, I'm dead. So yeah, I can maybe attack, and if I have lethal, I can go for attack with Cecil, but I don't think it's worth the risk in this situation. So I just go with both frogs. Opponent has Dispatch, but now I play really large Death Shadow. Opponent has to deal with it to be able to survive this turn. So I go with Shadow, I go with Frog. Opponent again finds a blocker, but this time it was over and they concede. Okay, it's time for match number 3. I start with turn 1 Cecil. Opponent has Disrupting Shoal, so they're obviously playing mono blue Belcher. I tried to go for a Frog, but of course they have a Stern Scolding. It seemed like pretty likely they have something like Spell Snare or Stern Scolding. But I went for Frog anyway, since I have Frog number 2. Okay, so now I go for... I wanted to go play Frog plus Shadow, then play Thoughtseize on my next turn. But they had another Disrupting Shoal, unfortunately, and then they went a Falagi, so they have blockers, they have lands, they're looking for a Belcher. In this situation, I go for Thoughtseize and take their Flare of Denial, so I am able to play my Psychic Frog, and I Surveil Counterspell on top of my library. All they have in their hand is Seagate Restoration. Of course, they can always top deck Char Belcher, it's not very likely. Okay, my opponent jumps there and shocks in the Seagate Restoration. I go for another Shadow, and yeah, they find Waterlogged Teachings. They went for Veer of Invention, so they are hoping to go for Veer, find Lotus Bloom, then try to combo off next turn. I attack, put them down on 3, pass a turn holding double Counterspell. And they go for Veer of Invention, but they did not find what they needed. Even if they did, I would still have a Counterspell, so that would probably not work out. Okay, so I don't need fatal pushes in this matchup. I think having just couple Dismember is better. I want more Counterspells, so I bring in all the consigns, and here I am. Keeping a slower hand, but I think that is fine. I feel like this is a nightmare matchup for Mono Blue Belcher. It's really terrible matchup for them. I have so many counters here. Okay, so I go for I pay some life. I go down to 14, pass the turn, holding Spell Snare, double Consign. I Spell Snare their Falagi, and now I do more surveilling. Nihil Spellbomb goes to the graveyard, and I play my Dead Shadow. I have Consign to counter their Charbelcher if they play it, so I'm good. And yeah, now I start with Thoughtseize, go down to 10 with Cecil doing damage here. It will flip this turn, and the Shadow will be large. The only realistic thing I could do here is discard Veer of Invention plus counter the other. That was the only logical thing to do, the only correct play. So yeah, if you saw opponent's hand, you can see it here in the left upper angle. And they have double Spell Snare, Tameshi, but since they have 2 Veer of Invention, I have 2 pieces of interaction. I think Tameshi just doesn't matter without Lotus Bloom in the graveyard, so yeah, it makes sense to take care of 2 Veers. Okay, opponent now plays Tameshi, they play Unable to Scream on my Shadow, they're down on 7 life. And I flip my Cecil, I play the Frog, I have Lethal next turn, and yeah, I have double Consign, so opponent concedes. That was a match. Okay, I think this was match number 4. Opponent played, I don't even know what they played. This is like the Esper list. They try to Prismatic Ending my Frog. I have Force of Negation, this is great. And now I untap and I go for attack with Frog. I see if my opponent wants to block, and they won't, so I decide to discard 2 lands. And yeah, killing their Tamio is same as drawing a card. I just don't mind it. I didn't want to play a second Frog, all I wanted is keep my counterspell, and I just keep attacking. Opponent keeps jumping with Tamio, I'm fine with that. If they want to jump every turn, that's okay for me. Okay, so here is a land I was looking for, and now attack with Frog, draw a card, and play a really big Murktide, 6/6 Murktide plus Cecil. opponent solitudes my Murktide. They can now connect with Frog, but they don't have much. They are on 0 cards in hand, and I'm in such a strong situation here. I play Frog. I hold a Spell Snare in case they draw. I don't know what do they even need at this point. Like they need 2 cards, Gorios plus maybe Atraxa. Okay, but that didn't happen. I boarded in, I think, only couple of spell bombs, maybe a few more. I think that was just it, just couple spell bombs, nothing else. So I guess that was Gorios. Yeah, it took some time for me to understand what exactly am I playing against here. Okay, opponent goes for Frog. Unfortunately, I'm stuck on a lens. I have Street Trade, I have Preordain, I had the 2 natural draws, but even that didn't help, and I was still stuck on draws. So opponent didn't attack into Cecil, and they stayed back with the Frog, and I go for Thoughtseize, but in response, opponent scams Solitude, discards Grizzlebrand, nothing I can do there. What I can do is just cast a really large Murktide and try to block these Frogs, but when opponent finds Grizzlebrand, has Gorios, I'd concede that was game 2. Let's check out game 3. In game 3 I brought in Harbinger of the Seas as well. And I had a pretty good curve here. Like turn 1 Stubborn Denial, their Thoughtseize, into turn 2 Psychic Frog, and now my opponent has Thoughtseize to get rid of my Harbinger, but it doesn't matter. I still have turn 3 Thoughtseize into another Psychic Frog. I take their Tainted Indulgence in this situation. They have Gorios in hand, but no way to discard Grizzlebrand. And they don't actually have a blue land even at the moment. Okay, so I go in with double Frog. I go digging, Preordain, and then I find Harbinger of the Seas. I decide to play Harbinger of the Seas in this situation, and now I find Shielded Edict. Shielded Edict good again. So this is actually funny. So I go for attack, make them sacrifice. They bring back my Street Trade, and now I bounce my Street Trade back to my hand. That was amazing. And I also go in for 5 damage. Opponent concedes, they can get out of this. So it's time for a trophy match, and this is the situation I was talking about. I was playing against a blue-red, whatever it is, like Cory Steel Cutter build with Delvers and DRCs. Okay, so I let them hit me with Delver for a bit here. I wanted to use the counterspell, so I find another counterspell. I decide to again let them hit me, maybe try to counter Expressive Iteration or something like that. Opponent just plays land, passes the turn, and turn I go for a Fatal Push. They play Sink into Stupor, and now I go down to 9, and again then I go for Thoughtseize. And I take their Expressive Iteration and I play a 7/7 Murktide, so they can't kill it with Unholy Heat. I have a 7/7 Murktide. It is a great strong clock. With a Shadow in my hand, it's basically 2-turn clock. And they find another Heat, and I use Force of Negation to counter their play, attack them down to 12, and I have lethal next turn. My opponent has to top deck something. They top deck... okay, so let's pause here for a bit. So in this situation, I thought like this game is over. There is just absolutely no chance for my opponent to get back out of this. Absolutely no chance, but I have no idea what are they playing. They have like Channeler, Delver of Secrets, Expressive Iteration, Unholy Heat. Seems like a Murktide-less Murktide old school build. And I have Stubborn Denial on top of my deck. If I kept this on top, there is just no chance I lose ever. An opponent has to jump, but I can kill them next turn. I was like, there's just no chance my opponent does everything. Let's try to draw something that wins me the game on the same turn. And opponent top decks stock up, At this point I was like, okay, they have Unholy Heat in their deck, and the only thing they can find is double bolt, and I never expected my opponent plays Lava Dart in their build, or I would never fetch down to 5. But I played against their deck first time, and I just they had such a crazy luck here, top decking first a creature to make them survive a turn, and then after that they find a draw spell which finds them double burn spell to finish me up. This was absolutely crazy. Okay, so game 2, unlucky, super unlucky. Okay, but in game 2 I was able to win, counter their Dragonray Channeler, and now I played Cecil, played the Nihil Spellbomb. Maybe I should have played. They had a double dart. I wanted to maybe hold Nihil Spellbomb for the later turn, let them kill my Cecil. Maybe that was a bad decision. There's a high chance that was a bad decision. Should have probably like played Nihil Spellbomb first. Okay, so opponent is tapped out. I can play a 5/5 Murktide Regent here. Unfortunately, with double Lava Dart, they can kill my. Okay, I lost the game for a second, so I needed a few seconds to find it back again, and here it is. We are back in the same situation. On my next turn, opponent flipped their Delver and attacked into my 5/5 Murktide, but I decided to let the damage through for one turn. Next turn I decide to trade when I draw a second Shadow, and then I exiled both Lava Darts from their graveyard, cycle my Street Raid, play another Shadow. Both of my Shadows are now 6/6. They are huge beaters. I have Counterspell at this point, and they don't even have Delirium. So end turn I go Fatal Push their Delver, and I go in for lethal damage with 2 Shadows. So that is a game, and I'm back on level, and we are up for last game of this league. I was already like pretty frustrated. I didn't win that first game. So game 3 I decide to keep a 1-lander because I was on the draw and I had a fetch, so I could go for a Surveil. And I have 20 lands in this build. If I played like less lands, like 18, I would probably mulligan immediately. But since I have 20 in this build, I have Preordains, 3 of them, and I have Street Raids, and I also find the Preordain, but even with Preordain I was still not able to find the land from the top, and now this puts me way back. So much back. Even on turn 4 I still did not get a land. I had a bunch of 1-mana spells, so I was able to play, but the main thing happened here. Opponent had Core Steel Cutter, and they resolved Core Steel Cutter. That was a huge problem. And yeah, so I kill their Delver, I discard their Expressive Iteration, I go down to 8. Okay, so this turn I had a lot of thinking, and I went to Thoughtseize. They had double Dispute in their hand plus Sink into Stupor. I go for Thoughtseize first, they sink it, so I'm able to resolve my Death Shadow. That was a good thing. And obviously they went for attack here, which means they have Bolt, but I think I just needed to trade here. Now I'm just trying to take their Mystical Disputes. I rather not use these counter spells if I don't have to, and I Sheltered Edict their DRC, but I'm low on life and mana, and they only need like to have 2 spells there to win that game. Opponent plays 2 spells and they find lethal, so I lost trophy for that amazing game 1 when opponent had that crazy top deck, and I graveyarded my Stubborn Denial on the turn before and fetched down to 5, which was like a two very weird decisions now looking back. The stubborn denial was a sure win, but my mind was even not the losing wasn't even option. I didn't even think about possibility in that situation. They could possibly top deck something strong like that. So yeah, my mistake, but also incredible luck by the opponent, and that's it. That was the entire league, and the thing that happened with this deck, I think I mentioned it in the beginning, but yeah, I brewed this deck last Friday, immediately like next day or 2 days after a guy takes it to his RCQ and get like 6 wins and no losses. Entire RCQ takes down RCQ with like a brew from 2 days ago. He added a couple of forces. I think his nickname on Twitter was Bolt Snap Bolt, and he added 2 forces to build. I posted on X. I really liked addition of 2 forces, and yeah, rest was pretty much the same. And I had I think third Harbinger in the initial build because I was playing against so much Eldrazi, so I completely tuned my entire sideboard to beat Eldrazi. I think this board is still fine. I really like the Shielded Edict. I would maybe add another Shielded Edict. Could possibly like cut some one Break the Ice, or probably just one Break the Ice or something else. So that was it. I think Shielded Edict is very important when playing against Zoo. I think Zoo can be hard matchup. It's not hard matchup, but it's very luck dependent. If they start with Leyline, it can be tricky. Then Harbingers don't do as much work as when they don't have Leyline. So it's very luck dependent matchup, and it's swingy. Okay, so that's all for today. Hope you like the gameplay. Hope you like the video. Deck felt great. It felt very powerful. I always had solution for everything I was looking for, and the Force of Negation played out amazing. Both Cecil and Shadow were strong. Usually people will just kill one of them. If they don't, you will have to do some thinking of what to do with them. Sometimes you just don't attack with Flip Cecil. You just attack with Shadow and stay back with Cecil. Sometimes you attack with both if you have enough cards in your hand to get your life total low enough for the next turn. So it really depends, it's situational, but these cards can be played together and they do work well together, but you have to be careful with them, and it can be double-edged sword at times. But I think with good planning, this can work. And DIMIR is exactly like a deck that wants to try play that. I don't think this would work as well as in Rakdos, because here you have some card selection and preordains and street raids all help with that. Psychic Frogs as well, they get some card advantage that later really can be helpful, just kind of balancing Cecil and Shadow in the same deck. Okay, again, thank you for watching. Friendly reminder for the end, click like, click subscribe, comment down below, and see you next time. Goodbye.